my favorite seasons. It's hot out there. Listen, I was melting earlier today. But summer is my favorite season, not only because I am a summer baby, and July happens to be one of my favorite months, but not only because it's my birthday. Yes, it's my birthday this week. I'm going to play that card. So y'all give me that energy. It's my birthday. I need all these gifts. But also because it's grilling season. How many grillers, let me pause. When I say grillers, I mean, do I have any real grillers in the house? Where are my grillers? Where are you at? Let me see your hands. Okay, all right. Okay, I see you. And when I mean by real grillers, I don't mean my microwave warriors, my air fryers, my gas grillers. No, I don't mean that. I'm talking about real grillers, okay? Yes, I'm talking about those of you who know what it means to stand over a hot grill in the summertime, right? And use in one hand those tongs and get it going in the other. You got those charcoals, right? That's going. I love that. And that you are a real griller. That's who I'm talking about. Yes. So if you've ever grilled with charcoal, then you know what happens, right? You know that the fire comes fast, but then it fades. Though coals look a little gray, they kind of look a little dead even, right? But a good griller, I mean a good griller, knows that you don't need new coals. You just need to do what, grillers? You need to fan the flame. That's right. You need to fan the flame. That's right. So I hear you now. I'm coming to your house because you said you was good grillers. I'll be there this week. So when you stir and fan what looks dead, the coals begin to start to glow again. They start to spark again. And that's what Paul told Timothy in 2 Timothy 1:6. He said, you don't need a new fan or new flame. He said, you need to fan it into flame. That's what he said. He said, fan into flame what God already placed in him. So many of us today, family, are sitting on gifts that we think are expired. Some of us feel too broken, too old, too late, or too unqualified. But God doesn't disqualify what he has already placed in you. Would you agree? Okay. So that means that your fire may have been buried, but it's not gone. Yeah? That means your fire might look a little dead, but it's still there. Some of us haven't moved forward in years, not because we don't love God, but because we don't believe God can still use someone like me. I heard some in this house. Let that settle in. But let me tell you this. God says, that's a lie from the pit of hell. That is a lie from the pit of hell, family. And there's a generation I need you to know. We just saw next gen. You just saw them all up here on fire. There's a generation watching us, waiting for us, learning from us. And they need to see what it looks like when somebody fans the flame. Even after disappointment, even after delay, even after doubt, they need to see somebody fan the flame. So for my note takers in here, my sermon title comes from a question that Mr. Douglas Furtick, Mr. Douglas Furtick, and if you don't know who he is, a.k.a. 803 Fresh, a.k.a. Mr. Boots on the Ground, he asked us an important question. He said, whoop, whoop. Let me do it again, because I need you to hear that. Let me do it one more time. Let me do it one more time. Ready? Where are my fans? You got it? I see it. Y'all doing 1, 2, 3. He said, where them fans at? Okay, now we got it. But let me ask you a more important question. He said, what do we do when the fire is still in us, but fear has been holding the fan? Let that settle One more time in you. What do we do when the fire is still in us, but fear has been holding the fan? I'm glad you asked. So we are going to take some time and we're going to explore a couple of things together today. So I want you to open your Bibles or your Android devices and to 2 Timothy 1, 3, and 7. We're going to read that, but we're going to focus on 2 Timothy 1, 5 through 7. I thank God, whom I serve as did my ancestors, with a clear conscience, as I remember you constantly in my prayers night and day. As I remember your tears, I long to see you, that I may be filled with joy. I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now I am sure dwells in you as well. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Now, this is Paul writing to his spiritual son. This is a letter, not a text message, not a DM. This is a letter that he is writing to his spiritual son, Timothy. And he opens his final recorded letter with a deeply personal, fatherly, and pastoral tone. He's writing from a Roman prison, likely in AD 66 or 67, during the reign of Emperor Nero, and facing death. Now, family, I went back in my studies and I had to go back and look at 1 Timothy, and I compared these two letters because I wanted to see what was he saying to Timothy the very first time. And there's a difference in that first letter. There's a difference in the tone. So in the first letter, 1 Timothy, Paul was free. And he was writing as a spiritual mentor to help shape his protege. He was helping to shape the leadership style of his mentee, Timothy. Now, I then went back to 2 Timothy and I looked at this letter. And in this letter, Paul is in prison. He's not free. And he's about to be executed. So he's writing not as a spiritual mentor, but he's writing as a spiritual father, encouraging and empowering his spiritual son. And so these words felt different. These words in these verses are loaded with gratitude. They're loaded with affirmation and urgency. So when I read this letter from Paul, I didn't just see a mentor. I saw a father. I saw a father writing from a dark place, pouring out his heart to someone that he loved dearly, knowing that his time was running out. And I know what that feels like. I've been the recipient of a letter like that. Because when I was 21 years old, I received a letter from my own father from prison. It would be the last letter that I'd ever get from him. And so I didn't know at that time, but his words felt different. There was a sense of urgency. There was love, there was care, there was encouragement in that letter. So when I read this, when I read Paul's words to Timothy, they hit different. When I read what Paul was saying to Timothy to fan into flame the gift of God, I don't just hear a suggestion. I hear a final plea. A father saying to his spiritual son, don't let what's in you die. Don't let the gift bury, or don't let the fear bury the gift that God gave you. He said, I won't be here much longer. So he was pleading with him that your flame, your fire must keep burning long after I'm gone. So that is the weight of this moment. And I know that weight. I felt that weight. And maybe like Timothy, your heavenly Father is telling you the same thing. That you can't let the fire die in you. That there is no time to allow what he gave you to be buried. That you need to fan the flame of the gift that he gave you. So we're going to explore that sacred reminder of what God has given us. Because God has already placed inside of you what he wants from you. You already got it. It just needs to be woke. It just needs to be fanned. It just needs to be reignited. So let's get into it. So when we go back to look at the word, verse 5 says, I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now I am sure dwells in you. Now listen, before Paul ever tells Timothy to fan the flame, he reminds him of who lit it in the first place. Timothy came from strong, faith-filled, sold-out women. And Paul called him back to his spiritual roots. Because Lois and Eunice, they were Jewish believers who had passed down not just religion, but active, living, sincere faith. They were on fire. Their fire was real. And this is why it's so important for us to live out loud our faith in front of our children. Because listen, I don't know about you, but some of us in this room are here today not because life has been easy, but because somebody before you believed when you couldn't. Somebody prayed for you. A grandmother prayed. A mother spoke the word. A mentor laid hands on you. Someone stood in the gap for you. Someone didn't need time. Someone cried out for you on your behalf to the Lord. And that's why you're here today. Your faith, their faith, that faith got you here. And so the question is, what are you going to do with what was passed to you? Which reminds me of my track days. Yeah, don't look at me like that. Yes, listen. I ran track, honey. Listen, I was good. Your girl was fast. Yes, she was. Listen, I won't even go there. I got pictures and I got the medals to prove it. But my favorite race was the 4x4. So in every relay race, there's a moment where one runner, exhausted but focused, passes the baton to the next. And that moment is everything. So for my track runners in here, you know you don't drop the baton, right? Because, see, you can have the fastest team. You can be the best trained. But if you fumble the baton, the race is lost. You can't drop this baton. Because here's the thing. Lois and Eunice ran their leg, and then they passed the baton to Timothy, right? Paul ran his leg, and from a prison cell, he passed the baton to Timothy. My mama runs her race, and she passed the baton to me. And listen, my sons, I'm running this race, and I'm passing the baton to William and Malcolm, and I'm telling them to run like your life depends on it. Run! Faith got you here, my sister. Faith got you here, my brother. And you're holding the spiritual baton, passed from praying grandmas, praying pop-pops, praying aunties, praying lovies, praying abbas, praying unks, praying spiritual mentors and mothers and fathers. They ran hard. And now they're passing it to you and saying, you're up. You're up. Faith got Timothy where he was, but somewhere along the lines, fear crept in and began to paralyze him from going any further. And likely that was the fear of weight, the weight of his assignment. That was the fear of serving God without his spiritual father present. That was the weight. That was the fear of not being enough to carry the calling on his life. And Paul, knowing Timothy's faith, but also knowing his fears, says, fan into flame the gift of God from the laying on of my hands. He's saying to him, you've been called. He's saying to him, you've been anointed. You've been trusted. Don't forget that God saw something in you and others recognized what was in you. He's saying you have a responsibility to stir up what God has placed inside you, because listen, faith got you here, but fire will carry you forward. And that's the fire to run your race. That's the fire to pass the baton to the next generation. That's the fire to reach the lost, the uninformed, the fire to misguided, the fire to serve, lead, teach, the fire from those that came before you. And listen, just like Timothy, many of us are standing in that tension between what was poured into me and what will I do with it. Yes, I know we're tired. Pandemic trauma, political division, racial injustice, social noise, financial pressure. Yes, we're afraid that we're not enough, afraid to speak up, afraid to say yes because the last yes cost me something. Yes, we're worried about being too old, too young, too broke, past failures, missing the mark, or messing up the opportunity. Did I come to your house yet? Okay. But we're also holding something precious, right? That's the legacy of faith and the investment of others. So my question to you is, will you fan the flame or will you drop the baton? Because this is not the season to coast on the faith of your mama or your father or your pastor or even your past self. It is not that season, but it is the season to pick up the fan and fan it into flame. Because what's already in you just needs to be woke again. It just needs to be fired up again. Lean into the gift. Run with the assignment and say to God, I'm not letting this fire die on my watch, Lord, because I'm a torch carrier, God. I'm a legacy builder, Lord. I'm a glory carrier, God. Fan the flame. Fan the flame. Because it was already in you. So now, Paul tells him to fan the flame. But then he goes on to say, for God has not given us a spirit of fear. So which begs the question here is what was going on around Timothy that Paul felt the need to remind him that God didn't give us a spirit of fear. So as I scoured the text, I learned that Rome had burned in AD 64, and Emperor Nero was blaming the Christians. So believers were being imprisoned They were being executed, burned, tortured. Many Christians, the leaders had left and abandoned Paul because of fear or disillusionment. There was a spirit of desertion, fear, and false teaching that was overtaking the church. So Timothy was facing lots of challenges, and what he was feeling was completely understandable. And Paul knew that. And he knew that he needed to remind Timothy that God did not give you a cowardice spirit. That's what fear means in this passage, that he didn't give him a cowardice spirit. He's telling Timothy, if you're feeling the urge to quit, to hide, to cower back, that's not from God. Paul isn't just giving Timothy a pep talk. He's recentering him on who he is and what he carries. Because my God, the Lord said that fear is not your identity. Timidity is not your identity. They don't belong to God, you do. Your identity, let me remind you what the word says. Your identity is overcomer. Your identity is more than a conqueror. Your identity is fearfully and wonderfully made. That's your identity. You weren't given a spirit to shrink. You were given a spirit to stand up in the face of fear. Now, family, at the beginning of this year, I had the wonderful opportunity to interview Dr. Mary Frances Early. And if you don't know who she is, you need to look her up. She's the first black graduate of the University of Georgia. And she's 89 years old. When I was interviewing her, she said, I'm 88 and a half. And in 1962, she didn't wait to be invited into change. She volunteered to walk straight into the storm of school desegregation, racial discrimination, and hostility that opened doors for other people. And I asked her if she had a message for this generation. And she said, yes, I do. And her message is this. This generation needs to get some steel in their backs to carry forward what we just did. And that's what Paul was telling Timothy. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. Dr. Mary Frances, Mama Mary Frances, fanned her flame, and courage lit the path for generations. So listen, I'm not discounting your fear. Your fear may feel very real, but it's not from God. God would never use your fear to manage your gift. Ever. Let that hit you when you go home. So if fear has been keeping you quiet and unproductive or doubtful, it's time to fire your fear and fan your faith, because your faith is the fuel that lights the fire. So now, moving ahead here, there's another part. You know, when we looked at what Paul said is that God did not give us a spirit of fear. It then begs another question, that if God didn't give us a spirit of fear, what did he give us? Paul tells Timothy what God had already given him. So the scripture says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. And in some other versions, it might say sound mind or self-discipline, which means, family, that power is courage and strength to do what you think you can't. And it's love. That's that other focused love. That's that kind of selfless love that casts out fear. Self-control. That's clarity. That's discernment and focus to move forward in using your gifts. Have you ever felt like you didn't have enough to do what God called you to do? Okay, so I'm not alone. God didn't just give you a flame. He gave you the internal tools to steward it. The full, exclusive, premium lit package is what he gave you. And let me break that down even further and simpler to you, because that means that he gave you strength for the moment. He gave you love for the people, and he gave you clarity for the path. That's what he gave you. So which means you already have what you need to do what God has called you to do. Let me say that one more time for you. That means that you already have it. Already have what God has given you, what you need to do what God has called you to do. And that means, so when fear tries to put out your fire, when comfort becomes your default, when insecurity begins to whisper louder than God's calling, that means that you need to pray, then do it afraid. That means minister to the lost and brokenhearted. That means serve in this house. That means say yes again to the opportunity. Go for the new job. Go for the promotion. Start the business. Write the book. Fan the flame. My mother is nearly 75 years old. Yep, and y'all can clap for that. And she is still living her assignment. That's beautiful. Once a month, y'all, she mentors two young girls at Diamond in the Rough, pouring out wisdom from her lived experiences, because she's raised three girls. And every week, she's the ice cream lady, because that's what the kids call her, the ice cream lady at a local school. Not just handing out treats, but love, consistency, and joy. Her power is in her presence. Her love reaches hearts, and her discipline keeps her showing up faithful to the call. So you don't need not one more credential, not one more connection, not one more perfect plan. You don't need it. You need to fan the flame with what God has already given you. So my question, let me lean in here. What fire have you let grow dim because of fear, shame, or comparison? What step of obedience is God asking you to take it to stir it up again? Who's waiting for your yes? Somebody's watching. Our children are waiting. This next generation needs to see you fan the flame. So you got homework, family. And my assignment to you is this. This week, I'm going to need you to take one bold step. Speak, write, serve in a ministry, testify, mentor, teach. Do something. Fan the flame. Because somebody is waiting for it. It's already in you. And let me speak this plainly to you. I'm about to close because I don't want to get the hook. So let me speak it plainly to you. Your flame is not finished. You may have been afraid. You may have walked through seasons of deep disappointment. You may have convinced yourself that it's too late. I'm too broke. That's just not going to be for me. That I'm too far gone. I've missed my opportunity. There's nothing left for me to use here. God can't use me again. But hear me when I say this to you. Listen closely. God never removed what he placed in you. Never. The coals are still hot. The gift is still alive. The call is still there. So here's the question. Will you fan the flame, or will you still keep waiting? This is your moment right here. So if you're on the edge of your seat, good. This is your moment to say, God, I'm ready to stir it again. I'm ready to confront the fear. God, I'm ready to believe that you can still use me even now. God, I'm ready. I'm ready, God, to let go of my comfort zone, God. I'm ready to step into courage, oh God. I'm ready. I'm ready. Use me again, Lord. Stir me up, God. Fan the flame. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. This is your moment. This is the time. The season has come. We don't got time right now, family, to wait. We are in hard times, and every gift in this house matters. So you need to step out in courage. You need to step out in faith. You need to honor the legacy of those who prayed for you, those who bended their knee, those who cried out on your behalf. It's time for you to fan the flame, because the Lord is not asking for fireworks. He's just asking for a flicker. Because God can turn your flicker into fire. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Fan the flame, fan the flame, fan the flame. Hallelujah. Thank you.